time when the garden center magically pops out of the parking lot at Lewis each spring, and boy, it's looking good in here. Doug Schroeder, our lawn and garden expert, the yard and garden manager at Lewis, is here, and it's time for another Owning Your Outdoors, and we're going to use planters for your garden this week.
Yes, we're going to do some container gardening. I define container gardening anything that is out of the ground.
Okay.
You can have a raised garden bed, you can have a container like I have here, you can be creative, and I've seen people use horse troughs for a garden.
What is the most important thing?
Using the correct size of container.
Okay.
I see too many people use small containers and it's just not enough soil mass for the vegetable or whatever they're growing. Use something large and then you can have the fun of combining different things in the same pot.
Do you put something in the bottom, or do you just fill it with dirt, or do you put rocks? I know some people talk about putting rocks in the bottom to maybe let some of the moisture filter through.
Yes, the big thing is make sure that you have good drainage from the bottom. If the drainage hole is small, then add some rocks to the bottom of the container. So I thought we'd have some fun and plant some things this morning. Thought I'd start out with a tomato plant. You can use any tomato in a container. I have actually an early girl here that we're going to plant. And then something I like to combine with tomatoes is actually basil. I have some oregano here. We can actually make a small herb garden with the tomatoes. As you see, Sean, I garden with my hands, not so much with tools.
Hey, I like that too.
This is going to need some kind of cage, some kind of support as it grows. I do have a new cage here today. You know, storage for tomato cages has always been a problem, but they've come up with a folding tomato cage. This year you can hang on the garage wall or wherever. You can simply insert your cage down into the planter.
We're still going to freeze a few more times.
Yes, it is.
You can move this stuff.
Right. Get a trolley. This all needs sun, so you may have it planted in an area and it's not getting the sun it needs. You can just roll it over to a sunnier area.
So this is actually almost better than regular gardens.
It's a lot less maintenance. You're not breaking up your yard. Weeding isn't such a big chore. The one thing you will have to do more is water.
Because you're doing that, are you going to also have to put more fertilizer in?
Yes, definitely. Running that much water through the container, you're going to wash out a lot of the nutrients. So I recommend fertilizing every 2 weeks with a good fertilizer.
What about my containers that I have that I actually used last year? Do I need to dump that soil out and put new soil in, or can I just mix in some new soil?
I recommend, if you're going to plant a tomato in the same container you did last year, empty the soil.
Okay.
That plant last year has drawn all the nutrients. Now, if you're going to rotate a different plant into there, you can get by with just mixing some soil in.
Okay.
Do you want to plant another container?
Yeah, sure.
A question I had recently from a very good friend, her name's Cecile, is can you plant blueberries in a container? And the answer is yes. You can plant a lot of different items in containers, raspberries, blueberries.
So I don't know much about blueberries. Are blueberries an annual or perennial? Are these something that will grow back every year?
They'll come back every year. When you come to the fall and it's gone dormant, it's important to move it into the garage, let it winter in the garage.
Okay.
One thing I want to stress, Sean, is to make sure you know your plant and the type of fertilizer it needs.
Okay.
Blueberries are an acid-loving plant, so you'd want to use a fertilizer that has a little bit of acid to it.
Okay.
One thing we did create this week, Sean, is a chart on different vegetables, how much soil mass it's going to take, things you can plant with it, and then actually allies of the plant. That chart's on the website. And then we have another chart on the website this week for all you gardeners out there, just breaking it down to hardy vegetables, semi-hardy, and then summer veg. The biggest problem I see with people gardening is they plant things too early.
All right, Doug, I think that gives us more than enough to do this week. Next week, we're going to be planting some trees for Arbor Day.
Yes, looking forward to it.
All right, more Owning Your Outdoors next week. Right now, time for a quick break. Fastcast is next.